Hi, Helen from crystalsandcrochet.com here, and welcome to part 1 of the Faith Crochet Along. Please make sure, if you're following the videos, that you have downloaded the US terms PDF from my website. If you're new to crochet, to reading patterns, etc., then use the photo tutorial, read the round of the pattern that we're going to be working on, then watch the video, then read the pattern again, and you'll soon find that you're reading the pattern and understanding repeats, etc., very easily. Okay, you will also, if you're following one of the yarn packs, you'll need to download the colours per round to make sure that you know exactly which colours you're going to be using. For the video tutorial, I am using the Stylecraft Naturals bamboo cotton and a 3.5mm hook. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, round 1, and we're going to start with a magic ring. So make sure you leave yourself a nice long tail to be able to work away, and then over your finger, round, cross over, turn your hand, and then hold the yarn between your middle 2 fingers. Okay, but keep it fairly relaxed, and you're going to go under the first loop, over the second loop, and as you draw that through, twist your hand so that you pull that loop up, grab the yarn and pull through to make a slip stitch, and then you can slip that off of your finger. Okay, I know some people don't like magic rings. If you want to, you can always do a chain 3 or a chain 4, but the secret to a magic ring is to secure it properly. It's not really how you make it, it's how you fasten it off. Okay, we'll come to that in a bit. Okay, so we're going to start off by making a chain 3, and that counts as our first double crochet. Okay, and we're then going to make 15 double crochet into the ring. Okay, so just keep a hold of the ring as you work, just to make it easier. Okay, so I'm going to make 15 double crochet into the ring. Okay, so let's double check that. Get into the habit of every round that you do, double check your stitch count. Okay, so our chain 3 counts as our first one, and then we had to make 15 more. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. Okay. Now I'm just going to pinch and pinch and pull up that magic ring. I'm not going to close it completely yet, but just to pull it up. Now when you join with a slip stitch, lift your working yarn up, take out your hook, pick up a hook 1.5 to 2 sizes smaller. Okay, so that's a 3.5, this is a 2mm. With a smaller hook you can easily, especially with chains, easily just go under the top 2 loops, she says. Give it a wiggle. Okay, so you've got the back bump of the chain there, and your hook is under the top 2 loops. Pull through to make your slip stitch, and as you can see, your slip stitch is much smaller than your normal stitches, so you're not going to mistake that for a stitch. Okay, and now let's tighten up. Okay, there we go. Round 1 done. Okay, moving on to round 2. We're going to chain 1, and that's just to lift us up to the height that we need to be at. Okay, it doesn't count as any sort of stitch. And then we're going to front loop single in the same stitch. Okay, so that's our chain 3, which is where we joined. So here's stitch number 1 and the top loops to that. So that is the front loop of our chain 3, and we're just going to make a single crochet in there. If you need to, you can always mark that, but the way this round is made, you won't need to. Okay, chain 3, and always try to keep your chains the same size as the top loops of your stitch. Okay, it's very tempting to go tighter when you make chains, but you will find, particularly as we get on further in the pattern, your chain spaces need to be a full sized stitch. Okay, so we've chained 3. Now we're going to front post single around the next stitch. Okay, so around the post, front post single, chain 3, front loop single in the next stitch. Okay, and you're just going to carry on like that all the way around. Chain 3, front post single, 1, 2, 3, and front loop single. Okay, so if you have problems reading patterns, make sure that you've got the photo tutorial open and that you read what it says, then watch the video, then go back and read again. Okay, you'll soon find you can read patterns really easily. Okay, so I'll repeat this time. There's a bit in the brackets. Chain 3, front post single around the next stitch. Oops. Chain 3, front loop single in the next stitch. Okay, you're going to do that 8 times, but you are going to omit the last front loop single because you've already made that here. Okay, I'm going to come all the way round and join you at the end. Okay, so I've come all the way round, last chain 3. Okay, there's my front loop single that I started with. So cut your yarn, pull through. I always make an invisible join whenever I'm changing colours because it's much neater, much easier to work into on subsequent rounds, etc. Than a slip stitch. Okay, so let me zoom in so that you can see this more clearly. Okay, here's the top 2 loops of our stitch. So we're going to come through the next stitch, which in this case is a chain 1 space, just under the top 2 loops from back to front. Okay, into the chain space, and then you're going to come down through the top of the single crochet and into the back. Okay, and then just gently ease that through until you've created 2 new top loops the same size as the others. Okay. Now again, in the pattern you've got a hint, do not work the ends away until after round 8. Okay, so that's what we've got. Looks a bit frilly at the moment, but what's going to happen is that's all going to sit up like a little cup. Okay, okay, round 3. Again, read the pattern. There's a hint that says all stitches are worked into round 1. Work back loop stitches in back loop and third loop to maintain stability. Okay, so we're going to join with a standing back loop double in any stitch with a front loop single. Okay, so yarn over and hold on tight, and then just have a look. Try to work opposite to where your tail ends are from before. Let's have a look and see where we've got a front loop single there. Okay, push that forward so that you can see the back loop and pick up the third loop as well. Okay, so if you just push down, you'll see there's another loop there, and make your back loop double, and then we're going to make a second back loop double in the same stitch. Okay, if you've not worked in the third loop before, you'll see if I pull on that, it doesn't stretch the top loop of the stitch, whereas if you only work in the one back loop, it tends to stretch and lift quite a lot. Okay, so the next stitch that we've got has got a front post single around it, so we can see the 2 top loops quite clearly. So we're going to make 2 double crochet in there. Okay, and then 2 back loop double in the next one, because as you can see, there's your front loop stitch, so we can only see the back loop stitch. So just go in and push down and you'll see that third loop to pick up and make your stitch. Okay, so 2 back loop double. Okay, so that's our repeat. 2 double crochet in the next stitch, 2 back loop double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, now the pattern says do that 7 times and then 2 double crochet in the last stitch, because we've already made 2 back loop doubles which end off the 8th repeat. Okay, so all the way round and join to this standing back loop double with a slip stitch. Okay, so before we move on to round 4, double check your stitch count. Make sure that you've got a total of 32 stitches. Oops, PDF's not playing. There we go. Okay, so then we're sort of going to repeat this round here. We're going to chain 1 and we're going to front loop single in the same stitch. Okay, then for our repeat, it's chain 3, front post single around the next stitch, chain 3, front loop single in the next stitch. Okay, so just to keep you on track, you're going to front each pair of double crochets that you've got, you're going to front loop single in the first one and front post single around the second one. Okay, so it's just chain 3, front loop, front loop single, chain 3, and front post single. Okay, so you're going to repeat that 16 times all the way round. And again, when you come all the way round to the beginning, make your invisible join, fasten off, but don't work your ends away until after round 8. Round 5, we are going to join all the, again there's a hint in the pattern, all the stitches are worked into round 3. Back loop stitches worked in the back loop and third loop to maintain stability. Okay, join with a standing back loop single in any stitch with a front loop single. So again, work away from where your ends are. So I am going to start up here, and there we've got a front loop single. So I am going to make my standing back loop single through the back loop and the third loop. Okay, and it's very, very simple. This round is all just single crochets. Okay, so normal single crochet in the next stitch, back loop in the next stitch, normal, back loop. Okay, carry on all the way round. When you come back to the beginning, join to that first back loop single with a slip stitch. Round 6, you can see now how everything is sort of pushed up, and it makes the centre of our little flower here sit up all nice and fluffy. Okay, so round 6, chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch and single crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so the same stitch is your joining stitch, that's the back loop single. The next stitch is the next normal single crochet. Okay, and then we start our repeat. So in the next stitch we are going to slip stitch, chain 4, treble, chain 4, and slip stitch. Okay, so that's all in the same stitch. So again, if you're new to reading patterns, you've got sort of a set of brackets within a set of brackets. Okay, so the first bracket is the beginning of the repeat, the last bracket is the end of the repeat, and that's when it then says you're going to do that 8 times. But the middle bit is everything that's made here in this stitch. So it's slip stitch, chain 4, treble, chain 4, slip stitch, all in that same stitch. Okay, you're then going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So if you need to, just pull your work apart so that you can see this is the stitch we've worked into already. So we're then just going to go 1, 2 and 3. Okay, I'll show you that again. So in the next stitch, slip stitch, chain 1, 2, 3, 4, treble, chain 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch, and then single crochet in 1, 2 and 3. she says. Yes, there we go, 3. Okay, you are going to do that 8 times altogether. Okay, you've already made 2 single crochet here, so that's the 2 that you're going to omit on the last repeat. You're going to join to this first single crochet with a slip stitch. Again, before you move on to the next round, always make sure you double check your stitch counts. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 loops with 3 single crochet in between each of the loops. Okay, and then we'll move on to round 7. So we're going to skip the next stitch, and then in the next petal, so it's into this space between the chain 4 and the treble, we're going to make 6 double crochet. Okay, so don't need to do any chains to raise up or anything, just 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, scoot them down a little bit, and 6. Okay, 2 double crochet into the treble, 1, 2, 6 double crochet in the next chain 4 space, number 5, and there's 6. Let's just double check that. 2, 4, 6, correct. Skip the next stitch, slip stitch in the next stitch, so that's the second or middle of the 3 single crochets, and then start again. Okay, so it's 6 double crochet in the first chain 4 space, excuse me, 2 double crochet into the treble, 6 double crochet in the next chain 4 space, skip the next stitch, slip stitch in the next stitch, skip the next one, start again. Okay, so go ahead and do that, make all 8 petals, and you're going to omit the last slip stitch, but you're going to join to that slip stitch with another slip stitch. Okay, round 8. Okay, we're going to chain 1, and then we are going to back post single crochet around the next 14 stitches, and we're going to do that 8 times. Okay, so when you're making your back post singles, make sure that you come underneath. Let me zoom right in so you can see. There's a top loop, there's the 3rd loop there, so make sure you come underneath that and around the post. That first one's always a little bit tricky. Okay, let me just zoom out a little bit. Okay, right around the post at the bottom, not just under the top 2 loops, because what this will do is it will fold the edges of the petals over, a little bit like the central flower in Mandala Madness. Okay, so just a back post single, around each stitch, but right around the post. Just a few more. That's number 13, and there's number 14. Whoops. Okay, so you can see how it's made that fold up, and it will make your petals all sort of come together and sit nice and snug. Okay, so you're going to do that for each of the petals. A back post single. Skip your slip stitches, don't worry about those. Back post single round each stitch all the way round, and then when you get right back to the beginning, join to that first back post single. Where is it? That one there. Okay, join there, fasten off, and then you can secure all of your ends and get rid of all of these tails that are hanging around behind. Okay, and I will see you for round 9. Just to quickly go over working away ends with you, I've already worked away these last ends, just one up and down under one side of the petal and the other along these stitches here. When it comes to working with cotton, I always prefer a pointed needle. I just find it is much easier. Okay, let's start with the centre. If you have a problem with magic circles coming undone, it's not because of the magic circle or magic ring or whatever you like to call it, it's because of how you fasten it off. Okay, so turn your work over, thread onto your yarn needle and have it so that that end that's coming around the centre is at the bottom there. Okay, if you're right-handed, that thread is going to run clockwise around the circle. If you're left-handed, it's going to go anti-clockwise. Okay, so if you're left-handed, just reverse what I'm going to tell you now. Okay, come underneath, and what you'll find you'll often need to do if there's a lot of stitches crammed into that centre is to sort of roll your needle and wiggle it. Okay, come round, come back a couple of stitches, go round again. Okay, come over one stitch, round again, back one stitch, round again, back one stitch, round again, reverse, so come back one stitch, go round again and wiggle if you need to. We can actually get that through there. Okay, once more, back one stitch and through. Okay, that will secure your tail end for your centre so that it is going absolutely nowhere. Now, you've got a second tail end for round 1 that's going to be almost impossible to get into here because you've worked that tail end of the magic ring backwards and forwards so many times. So, the easy thing to do is to come underneath the next round, and this is why I like to always start opposite to where I've ended the previous round, so I'm going to be able to work these tail ends away under here but this one I can work away under here. So just literally underneath those stitches, round, come back one stitch, through, back one stitch and through. Okay, 3 times is generally enough, and you can't see any of that on the front there. Okay, so just that one more set to work away, which I'll bring down and work away, one side, one the other side. Okay, round 9 we are going to start by joining a standing single crochet in the 8th back post single of any petal. Okay, so there's number 1. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops. Standing single crochet and then single crochet in the next 3. Okay, 1, 2 and 3. So you've got 3 stitches left on that petal. Okay, so now we're going to start our repeat. We are going to single crochet 2 together over the next stitch, so that's this one, and the 3rd back post single of the next petal. Okay, so into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and then you've got 1, 2, 3. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. So you've got 2 stitches at the bottom of each petal there that you're not going to work into. Single crochet in the next 8. Okay, oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and again we've got 3 stitches left there, so into the next one, pull up a loop, pull the petals apart so it's easy for you to see. 1, 2, 3rd, 1, pull up a loop, yarn over, through 2. Okay, so it's 2 together over those stitches and then 8 single crochet, 2 together over the next stitch and the 3rd stitch of the next petal. Okay, go ahead and do that 8 times. You're going to omit the last 4 single crochet, but you're going to join to this standing single crochet with a slip stitch. Round 10, I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet in the same stitch. Okay, we're going to skip the next 3 stitches, and then in the next stitch, which is the single crochet 2 together, if you look at the pattern you'll see that in brackets it says SC2 together, it's italic and purple, which means it's a hint. So that's telling you what the next stitch that you're going to work into is. We're going to make a 2 treble cluster, and then we're going to chain 3, 2 treble cluster twice. Okay, so for a treble cluster we yarn over twice. Now if you want to avoid getting big baggy loops, just yarn over once, go into the stitch, pull up your loop, yarn over and through 2, and then pinch that stitch, pull your hook out, come under that extra yarn that's there and back in through 2 again. Okay, through 2 and through 2. And you only need to use that little trick on the first one because it's where you've got a gap and it's stretched over. You can see I've got normal size top loops, it's not big and baggy. Okay, so that's our first 2 treble clusters. So then we need to chain 3 and 2 treble cluster twice more. Okay, so remember normal treble is over twice, in, pull up a loop and through 2 twice. So you're making a partial treble. Yarn over twice, in, up, through 2 twice, and then through all 3. Okay, we're then going to skip the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to single crochet in the next 2. 1, 2. Okay, so that's our repeat. Let me just show you that little trick again. Oops, got a little. Oh no, it's not. Thought I was got a little knot in my arm, but I haven't. Okay, so rather than yarn over twice, just go once. Sorry, let me just zoom in a bit. Pressing the wrong buttons on the camera here. So just yarn over once into the stitch that you're working, pull up a loop, yarn over and through 2, then pinch, lift your hook out carefully, and then come under that sort of like gap of yarn and back into your working loop and through 2. Yarn over twice, through 2, through 2, and then through all 3. And as you can see, the top loops are all the same size. Okay, so it's a 2 treble cluster, chain 3, 2 treble cluster, twice. So it's chain 3 and another 1, 2, 1, 2, skip 3, 1, 2, 3, single crochet in the next 2. Okay, so go ahead and do that 8 times. So you're going to work all the way around. When you come back to the beginning, you're going to omit that second single crochet, that last one, join to that first single crochet, fasten off and secure your ends. Okay, at the end of round 10 there's a hint that says your work will cup, so it is likely to just curl over slightly. Do not worry about that. It will lay flat very, very shortly. Okay, round 11. Join with the standing front post half double crochet around the last cluster of any point group. Okay, so yarn over, let's get opposite, and around the last cluster, so make sure that you're around the posts. And I think front post, standing half double crochet is the trickiest one of all to do. Okay, so around the front. Let's just zoom out. There we go. Okay, single crochet in the next 2 stitches, so that is the 2 single crochets there. Oh, excuse me. Front post half double around the next cluster, next stitch, the pattern says, and then 4 half doubles in the next chain 3 space, and we're going to do that twice. Okay, so 3 and 4, front post half double around the cluster, and then 1, 2, 3 and 4, and finish with a front post half double around the last cluster. Okay, so that's our repeat, nice and simple. Single crochet in the 2 single crochet, and then you're going to front post half double, 4 in the chain 3 space twice, and then a front post half double around that last cluster. Okay, so go ahead and do that 8 times, and then you're going to join to your standing front post half double crochet with a slip stitch. Round 12, we're going to chain 1 and half double crochet in the same stitch. Okay, so that's our front post half double. Okay, and then we start our repeat. Single crochet 2 together over the next 2 stitches, so that's the 2 single crochets. So into the first one, pull up a loop, into the second one, pull up a loop, yarn over and through all 3. Okay, and that's our single crochet 2 together. Then we are going to half double crochet in the next 5 stitches. Okay, so that's the first front post one, and then the 4 that we made into the chain space. Okay, and that is our 5 half double crochet. That's the 2 together there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then in the next stitch we're going to make 3 half double crochets. And then the pattern tells us to mark the back loop of the second half double. Okay, so that was the first one, and that's the second one. Okay, and that marker is going to stay in there for a while. Okay, half double crochet in the next 5. So we come down the 4 that were made into the chain space, 3, and there's number 4, and then the 5th one is our last front post half double. Okay, so that's our repeat. Single crochet 2 together over the 2 single crochets, and then you're going to do 5 half doubles, 3 in that top stitch, and mark the back loop of the second one, and then another 5 coming down. You're going to do that 8 times, omit the last half double crochet because you've already made that at the beginning. join to that first half double crochet, fasten off and secure your ends.